Hey everyone, I'm Drea Renee, and you're watching Spotlight Series. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have an amazing show for you today. We have the beautiful Evelyn Eve Preciado in the house. When you say her name, give yourself a little shoulder shake. She's got spice, and so will you. But before we get into that, you guys, make sure you subscribe and like. We're gonna have weekly videos and lots of amazing content. We wanna make sure you get updated first. And before we get into the beautiful Miss Evelyn, we wanna give some love to our sponsor, Verde Juicery. Verde Juicery is an Orange County-based startup that makes delicious, energy-boosting, all-natural organic juices. From the sunrise to the green light, to the paradise, to the master cleanse, Verde Juicery has all you need to get your day going. Each drink is freshly squeezed using only the freshest local ingredients such as watermelon, apples, cayenne, ginger, lemons, spinach, pineapples, turmeric, beets, and more. All blended into a nutritious, healthy energy drink unlike you've ever had. Follow Verde Juicery on Instagram at Verde Juicery to place your order and get juiced. You guys, make sure you do it because it's very good. And let's welcome the beautiful Evelyn Eve Preciado.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you so much for being here. First of all, do you juice?
You know what? I have in the past, but I've never been like committed enough to stick to it, but I love it. So yeah. I'm excited. It sounds amazing. It sounds delicious.
Yeah. Verde Juicery, very, very good, you guys. So make sure you try some. So Evelyn, you're a poet, you're a writer, you're an influencer, you're a model, you do it all.
Thank you. Titles. You know, it's so funny because I feel like I have a hard time with like titles and just fitting into like, am I? You know, is that who I am? You know, it's like an identity thing. But yeah, I'm creative. I think overall I feel like I've just love to dabble into anything creative. So
do you feel pressure from those titles? Because, you know, once you put yourself out there and everybody's like, oh, this is what she is. Do you feel pressure to sort of stick to that?
I think that it's more kind of like, what does that title entail, and if I could even be all of those things, and what does it mean? You know, for me, I think it's been like, even for example, the term poet. I think to some people, it's like, she's not a poet, you know?
Right.
But to some people, it's like, maybe she is. So I just feel like for me, it's like, I just go along with whatever makes my heart happy, and it happens to be a little bit of all those things. And like, whatever. If it's not perfect, whatever. I like it.
So tell me about your journey into poetry and writing. Have you always done that when you were a little girl? Is this something new that started for you?
I think that I've always been kind of into the creative aspects of everything. So growing up, I used to love to read. As a child, I would get called on to like write certain like creative pieces in elementary. So I never thought of myself as like, oh, I love to do this, or journaled, or.
But that's usually how it goes, right? Because you're not thinking about it. It's just organic.
And somebody saw you or read some of your things and was like, hey, maybe you should write some of this stuff, you know. Eventually the pieces that you'll see now, like on my Instagram, stuff like that, I got a little deeper into them when I was going through some stuff in my personal life, and I felt like I didn't have anybody that really related to me at the time. So I noticed that subconsciously I started writing, and I think it was a way, now that I look back, because I have over like 400 pieces now, I think that it's
queen.
I didn't even realize until I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm on WordPress, and it keeps stats for you and just kind of keeps count. But I realized that it's, when I read back and really look into the pieces, I noticed that it's like myself recording like very specific moments in my life, because I'm able to like,
it's like a timeline almost.
It's absolutely a timeline of like my lessons. I've noticed that that's what it was. And some of them have a little bit of like a melody to them. Some of them are a little bit poetic. Some of them are not. But they're absolutely all, I think, important moments that I didn't want to forget. So it just kind of started from there. Thank you.
And you have Mexican Woke Girl, your podcast,
It just started that during, it's like my pandemic baby.
Yes, there's a lot of pandemic babies, literally and figuratively.
Yes, and that's one of mine. And it came out of nowhere. And I think that the title very much encompassed a little bit, kind of going back to this like whole title and who am I and what am I. And I think that I'm Mexican, so I am a Latina, Mexicana, and woke. Queen. You know, I feel like who didn't become woke? A lot of us became woke during the pandemic, and even prior to that, there are a lot of like a growth and enlightenment and self-empowerment. So I noticed that I was very much talking a lot about those things with friends. And then girl, you know, because it encompasses just, I think, the little girl that I think I still am inside, and I'm still discovering.
Little Eve.
Right? I think everybody, like the child doesn't die, guys. We're still in here. You know, it didn't just like pack its bags and leave.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of that I think I encompass that through the topics that I talk about. It's very much going back and healing almost even my childhood trauma, which I think is what the term, like all the terms together. I was like, that's it. That's the title. Why dig it deeper?
Right.
And I think that I do the little episodes when my heart desires. So I wish I could say I wanted it to be kind of like a weekly thing. Now it's just like when I have something to say, I'll put on the camera and I'll record and I'll just talk. And I'm not an expert. So for those who go on there, it's like, don't come for me. You know, I'm not an expert.
Hello, do not come for Eve. We will come for you.
Yeah, some people will be like, well, according to psychology. It's like, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. You know, it's just, I like to share with the world what I've learned about me and how I've been able to overcome stuff. And I think that it helps me heal even deeper because I'm able to like say it out loud.
Exactly. And I like that it's so beautiful. Your videos are so amazing. Make sure you guys check it out.
Thank you.
So you brought up just now someone like giving you criticism. How do you handle that? I mean, you're exposing yourself, you're putting yourself out there, and once it's out there,
it's out there.
It's out there, girl. So when you're getting a little bit of that backlash, how do you handle that?
You know, I had, going back into that, I had somebody one time DM me and they're like, you know your brand?
DMs.
Yeah, the DMs. It goes down in the DMs.
Girl.
And it really, I had somebody tell me that my brand was vulnerability, and I didn't realize that until now that I noticed that a lot of what I do is very vulnerable. So being vulnerable means you got to be brave. Being brave means somebody's going to tell you something somewhere, and you got to be able to take it. So in the beginning,
it just gave me goosebumps, girl.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's unfortunate that, you know, because vulnerability is beautiful. You know, like you show other people that they can be themselves through that. It's like, it's okay, I'm not perfect. Like, please don't think I'm perfect. And I want to share that with the world. That is like, I feel my purpose. So I've gotten a lot of criticism through all aspects, like the writing pieces. You know, I've had people come in and it's like, what is this? This isn't even deep. And then I've had people, even just for example, the modeling aspect of it. Like, I'm not a professional model. I'm not signed through an agency. I just do it for fun because I enjoy it. Like, I feel like it's helped my self-love. It's helped me be able to see me from the outside in. Like, a lot of us, even if you look through the mirror, that's just a reversed reflection of you. You're never going to be able to see it unless you're like a camera captured you or somebody can capture you live, like even like this. It's like I wanted to see myself from that perspective, because it helped me heal.
And I like that you can laugh at yourself as well. I saw your story yesterday. It said, does anybody like me chubby before I get abs?
Let me know, because these abs, I don't have to get the abs. Okay, you like me like this. The abs don't have to be
I
there.
love it.
Oh yeah, like it's a little bit of everything, and I think that poking fun at my at myself is very much a part of that. It kind of defeats the monsters. I feel like you give the people who are trying to criticize you no way to criticize you. It's like, I know who I am. I know my flaws. So if you want to come for them, fine. I'm still gonna love my flaws. Like, oh, you think I'm overweight? Well, what do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do?
You don't like my face? Well, what do you want? What would you like for me to do, ma'am, sir, whoever, you know, or whatever it may be. It's like, at the end of the day, this is who I am, and my only job is to accept and love myself, and everything else, who cares? You know, who cares? I don't take anything too serious. I remember it being a little hurtful here and there, where it's like people.
You're human.
Yeah, I'm a human.
People don't realize their words and how they can affect somebody. I mean, there's things I'm sure, like as kids, you even remember. But I wanted to say, looking at your Instagram, there's such a truth, like genuine energy that you have. And it doesn't feel like you're like putting on. You know, you're really exposing yourself in such a beautiful way.
Thank you.
And I watched your video that I'm going to segue into you talking about divorce.
Yes.
And you said in your culture, there's such a stigma.
Absolutely a stigma.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. And in that video, I do cry. It's so funny because
I know, girl. I was going to let you say it.
I do have to tell you that my mom speaks predominantly Spanish, and to her, you know, English, she'll know bits and pieces, but she'll watch my videos. And one of the things that she told me the other day, she's like, you know, I get some of the pieces that you're telling me, and I love that you're expressing yourself. She's like, but I hate that you cry on camera. And I was like, Mom, that's the best part. Like, I can't edit the part that makes the video most real. No. Like, I'm going to talk about. That's what connects people to you. People cry. Like, people cry about these things. Sometimes I'll have happy tears on there too, but it's like, it's important for people to see me as an individual that does cry, because I'm a human being. Like, I'm not out here trying to front. But no, going back to the divorce and the stigma, it is absolutely a stigma. Not just even in my culture, I think for women. Yes. For women in general, because there's this subconscious timeline, unwritten something in there that it's like, you have to be married at a certain time. Hurry up. Have kids at a certain time. And you're talking about how we talked about earlier, like, who's keeping track of my age? Because I'm not, you know,
No,
like
I'm not.
where is this timeline? Like and that's where, especially in my culture, I'm first generation, you know, my parents came from Mexico, and they had this idea of like, they had this idea where you can't leave this home unless you're married.
Oh my gosh.
That's really what it was. And so I lived a very kind of strict upbringing, and I followed the rules because that's all I knew, you know, and obviously loyalty and my family means so much to me.
So entrenched. Yeah.
Absolutely. And being validated by them and them being proud of me was a big deal. So, you know, I did it. I got married young, which I do not recommend, you know, but definitely take your time, like get to know yourself. And I feel like that is a big thing that I learned through it. And the divorce thing was a major, girl. Like I put it off for so long, you know, I dealt in the relationship for so long because of what are people going to think? Because
what are people going to think?
Because my parents really much feared that. To them, like what people would think is the biggest thing in the world. It's like, well, what are they going to think? It's like, who cares?
Who cares?
Like, I'm literally unhappy. Like you really
like isn't that something?
Yeah, like doesn't that matter? And you know, I fought as much as I could, and this is not to shame the person I married. You know, I wish him well wherever he's at, and at the same time I feel like had I not gone through that situation, I wouldn't be here right now.
And we wouldn't have Mexican woke girls. So thank you.
We wouldn't have this interview. We wouldn't have any of the story to tell. We wouldn't have the lessons I've learned. Like I've grown, and I feel like I've come into myself because of what I've lived. And you know, despite the stigma and despite what the culture says, I feel like once I lived it and realized, you know what, I'm okay, and what people have to say doesn't really matter, that catapulted like my purpose times a million.
Right.
Like now I'm able to post what I post, say what I say, you know, and do the videos and talk about it like, well, I don't really care. You know, I'm divorced and I'm happy, and who cares?
And who cares?
Who cares? And it's a big deal. And my parents have changed also their perception of a lot of things. And I think that for me was 100% rewarding, and at the same time just made me happy, you know. So I'm okay with it.
I was gonna ask what it was like, that fear to tell them like, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Oh girl, it was a wow. It was a lot of things. And you know, I think my parents overall, it was kind of like, oh, and then a big one was, well, you can't do things alone, like you're a woman, you know. This is not to shame my parents. My parents are amazing people, but they really do
you know
feel
that's where they come from. That's what they know.
Mentality, you know, where you need a man, or you need a man to do things. So I committed myself, girl, to make sure like I moved to LA. I was like, nope, I'm gonna do it alone. Like, Evelyn, nope. Matter of fact, don't even help me move. I'm gonna move on my own.
I'm gonna do it by myself.
I made sure I had to show them. It became one of those things where I had to physically show them that I could do it on my own, that I didn't need this person that I married, that I didn't need anybody as for that matter, and that I was gonna be successful, finish school, do my career, do my creative stuff, and still be 100% happy alone. That was something that I wanted them to see. And in the beginning, it was kind of hard for them to gauge, like, why would you want to do that alone? It's like, that's what you could see that it could be done.
It's like you have to sort of plant seeds for these old ways of thinking, and you have to like rewire your brain and show them.
It's like, you're going to see that I'm going to do it. And now, you know, it's been a couple years after, and my parents are kind of like, oh my gosh, you did all of this. It's like, yeah, and I'm still doing all these things. And now my mom is just kind of like, you know, she's got this dream of like, well, maybe one day I'll be a grandmother or things like that. But it's like, girl, yes, but even if you're not, it's okay.
Even if you're not, it's okay. So who inspires Eve? Who inspires you? Because you seem so, you know, together. Your energy's amazing. Like, what people helped you get here?
You know what? I want to say that I'm the oldest in my dynamic and my family dynamic, but I want to say that just my family, like my parents, my mother, you know, and it's not that she's an amazing woman and she's worked her butt off, and she's still, I mean, she worked today, like she's a hardworking woman.
Okay.
But to be honest, Drea, I think that seeing my mother not fulfill her ultimate dreams and not love herself as deeply as I know she wishes to have loved herself, that inspired me.
Goosebumps again, Eva.
That inspired me. Just it's like, no, I'm going to show her that her daughter can, even though to her it might be the scariest thing. Because at the end of the day, our parents put rules on us and expectations on us based on their fears. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, Mom, I'm going to show you that you shouldn't have been scared of any of that.
Right.
You know, so I'm helping her. Even a lot of my passion project, aside from all the things that I do, is helping my mom re-love herself, which is insane because she's older, you know, but it's like.
But you know what? We're getting so many new ideas, and people are so cognizant of self-care and mental health.
For sure.
Which you also talk about
all
that.
The time. All the time. And I feel like the women in my family, for sure, my mother, my grandmother from both sides, like seeing them, you know, come from a they're older generations, you know, and seeing them ultimately give their life for their children and their husbands, but never once thinking of themselves. I think that was what did it for me. You know, I wish I could say, you know, celebrities or things like that, but it really is that.
Your family.
That is my backbone, the women in my family, and making sure that at least with me, whatever was happening there is not going to happen again.
Right.
I want to change that. I wanted to cut that tie. I think deeply. That's one of my like purposes for sure.
So what's going on with Eve in the dating life? Are we dating? Are we not dating? We know there's things going on in the world that make it not so easy. But I mean, you're beautiful.
Thank
so I'm
you.
like,
Thank you.
What's going on, girl?
It's hard. It is difficult, and we're in LA, and it's like, oh man, and especially if you're like a real ass girl, you know, that's gonna just be herself. You know, I'm not trying to impress you. Yeah.
What's your sign, by the way? Real quick.
Do you want to know all my signs, girl, or just my sun sign?
Honey, I saw you had Mercury in retrograde on your chart, so I was like, she knows what's up.
Yeah, no. So I am a Capricorn sun.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and then I believe my
Happy belated.
Thank you. My moon is a Pisces, and my rising is an Aries.
I love that you know your chart.
Girl, you
double
have to.
Virgo, Gemini moon, right here.
Double Virgo. Okay, yes. Beyonce's a Virgo.
She is September 4th.
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
No, Virgos and Capricorns.
Soulmate match.
Yeah, yep. I already know. No, it's so funny because you have to look into that stuff, girl.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the skeptics, people who are like, no, but you have to. The planet, we live in a planet. We're in the universe. The planets exist, the stars are things, you know. So I'm a Capricorn. Some people have like
hardworking women. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I'm super into it. I love anything that makes sense, like logic. I'm on like CoStar. If you know about CoStar, it's a little app, super cute, and just like astrology. Not super crazy into it, but it's in there.
But yes, of course. And so when you're dating a guy, do you ask them about those things?
That's funny. I not like super upfront. I don't. It's not.
I'm like, what is your sign?
There's like this like TikTok. I think of a girl who she's like dating, and she's like, so do you know what time you were born? Can we tell your mom? Can we? What's going on
I
here?
think I made that TikTok.
Well, it's important. Compatibility is so important.
Yes, for sure.
I don't ask, but I do eventually get to the point where it's like, what's your, for sure if I know their, like they tell me their birthday, it's like,
exactly. Like, hold on one second. Let me scroll.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can't help it, but it's not like a deal breaker for me. I'm not looking for like my soulmate, astrology soulmate match. But for me, it's more kind of finding somebody who's genuine, man. Like just really themselves. Like, give me who you are. Your exterior is only going to be so much.
Girl, you can only stay in the bed so long in the day. That's what my mom always said.
So true.
You got to go in the world.
You do. Yeah. And I have to know, like, in case of an emergency, what is your reaction? Like, I need to know these things about you.
Right.
Like, I need to know that you like me for me. Because if you don't like me for me, I'm not going to make you happy.
Exactly. And how important is someone's spiritual program with what they have going on to you?
You know, for me, it's not even religion based. I think at this point, it's like believe in something.
Exactly.
Believe what keeps you going? What motivates you? What gets you up in the morning? I don't care what you pray to, what you bow down to. Have a belief.
There's some moral compass,
please. Right? Something that keeps you going as a righteous individual. That you just, I'm gonna be a good person today.
Right.
Because karma, or because the universe might get me tomorrow. I don't know.
Check in with somebody, right?
I need something.
Exactly.
You know, believe in your mom. I don't care. It's just have it. Have it. You know, and very much, I definitely somebody that can accept who they are and just be woke, accept their traumas. Like, we're all individuals. We all have mistakes and failures. You know, really a humble individual for sure.
For sure.
That's kind of hard to find out in these streets of Los Angeles, California. But I know it exists.
You know what?
If you and I exist, Drea.
Oh, it exists.
It exists.
Even though Mercury's in retrograde until the 21st.
Like the 21st or something.
Yeah, girl, I took a screenshot of your story yesterday. I was like, thank you.
I had done like a little story prior to that. It's like, am I the only one that like cried herself to sleep for 2 days in a row? No? Okay.
No, you were not.
Okay.
So going back to Instagram, talk to me about your modeling journey. You said, oh, I'm not like a model, but yes, you are so beautiful. You have such amazing pictures. Talk to me about your journey.
Thank you.
And all that.
It's all based out of fun. Everything I do is just creative outlets for me. I've always enjoyed photography, whether it's me behind the scenes or me being in front of the camera. I have a little bit of a background in like radio, television, and film through education as well. So
me too. Ready to. All right, you guys, we will see you next time. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button.